Welcome to Monarch Herbs. Today we're working on a first aid kit. I've made a first aid kit for you today, and I wanted to show you what the different products are and what they're for. But first of all, I just want to talk to you a little bit about the first aid kit. I designed this because I have 4 kids that, like to be out and about and adventurous, and I was always afraid that, somebody's going to get hurt, something's going to go wrong. And so, of course, I was nervous mom on the sides going, get down, stop doing that, don't do this, and it's just like, I want to be able to live fully and not have an issue and let them do what they want to do and explore what they want to explore without me freaking out every moment. And also, it's good just to be prepared, even the simplest things at home, maybe it's just cooking dinner and you burn yourself or whatever. And I just wanted to be able to have everything I would need to, live life. And so I created this today for everybody. This is the first aid kit that I created. This is my smallest one. I've also got a larger pack. So this one might be good for, keeping in your car, a good at-home one, taking out backpacking, this will fit in the back of the backpack so that you've got everything you would need to go on an adventure. So let me show you what I've got in here and kind of explain what each item does. First thing I did though is it's a toiletry bag, and so you can hang it up, and you can hang it from a tree, you could hang it from a closet door, in the house, wherever you want to keep it, so that way it's easy to grab the stuff that you want when you need it. The first thing I made to try to make this as simple as possible for everybody is I made a quick guide for everybody. This guide is not only, a description of everything that's in here, but it's also color-coded so that you can find what you want. So say you're choosing the pink item on here, that would be the item with the pink label and the pink writing on it. So that way it's easy to see what you want and get it as fast as possible, because obviously in a first aid situation, time is the essence. So that is why I color coordinated. There's also instructions on each of them and what each item is called. So it makes it as easy as possible to get what you need and use what you need. So let's go through this, and I will show you what each item is and how to use it. Okay, so the first thing I did is I started in red, and it's in rainbow order. So I started with red because the most common things, I think, or the thing that you go for the first aid kit the fastest is when you're bleeding. So red is for bleeding or wounds. So I have 2 products for that. I have a warrior powder and I have a 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐫𝐞 salve. 2 items. So let's talk about both of those. First of all, the warrior powder. This I would go to first, as you have an open wound, an open gash from hiking out in the woods and you fell on a rock or something like that. You need to take care of that as fast as possible. So the other thing that goes really well with this is the wound cleaner, which is Oust. So start with Oust. You want to clean the wound as best you can, get any gravel, bits, pieces, whatever is in there out, and clean it up as best you can. And for that also, I have included other first aid items such as Band-Aids, gauze. I have some tape, got ACE bandage, gloves to glove up. We've got gauze for both cleaning and if you need to use it as a Band-Aid, if it's a large gash. I've got smaller Band-Aids. And then I have a roll-on Band-Aid. So that could be rolled around, your arm. It could be rolled around your head if you're trying to keep something on your head. Whatever you need to use it for. So I've got these also in the kit, and I also included a tweezers, splinters, whatever, thorns, whatever you may get yourself into, need to get out. So tweezers is also included. All right, so with the wound, you're going to go and use your wound powder first. So you're going to clean the wound as much as you can, get any junk off, gravel bits, forest floor, whatever is in there. Clean it as well as you can, and then you're going to add the wound powder. Wound powder is put in there to stop the bleeding, It is also anti-inflammatory and it's antimicrobial. So it's going to help to clean out any bacteria or any microbes that may have gotten in there when you fell. This would go into the wound. So you're going to clean it with the oust spray and a gauze pad, clean it up. Then you're going to sprinkle this right onto the wound, into the wound, and then you're going to pack it in there and you're going to put your Band-Aid on. Okay? So the wound powder is just, it's ground up herbs. And with that, the reason for that is if you're using a salve or an ointment in an open cut, you have the possibility of bringing in or drawing in more bacteria or infections. And so with the wound powder, it's dry. It's not going to absorb or it's not going to suck in any other or capture any other bacteria. So that's why we use a dry wound powder, okay? So this will be bandaged up. You'll check it about every 4 to 6 hours, see how it's doing, change bandages if need be. If it's still bleeding a little bit, you can add more wound powder to it. And as it heals, it will kind of, the wound powder the body will kind of kick the wound powder out and it will help to create the scab. So the scabbing will be kind of dark or black, but it's from the wound powder and it's from the healing of that area, okay? So once it's scabbed over and there's no more blood or pus or bleeding or anything coming out of it, then that's when you can use the 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐫𝐞 salve, and that will help to continue facilitating the healing of the tissue and creating new skin so that your body can obviously close and heal up appropriately. It will also help with scarring. So the 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐫𝐞 salve is used after the wound is closed. We don't want to draw in any extra bacteria or anything like that. So these are the 2 items for your wound, okay? Let's move on. All right, next we have burn powder and burn salve. So again, we've got 2 items, all right? Scorch is the burn powder and Bliss is the burn salve. So I would use the salve again on a closed burn. So maybe you burn yourself on the oven. It kind of creates a little bit of a blister. And same with sunburns. It can kind of create a blister or it can just be really red and swollen and painful. And that's when I use the Bliss salve. So the Bliss salve is the pink color label, and so that is for your pink skin. So that's why I did that in pink. So that would be for if you don't have any pus or any open wound. And again, the scorch powder, same reasoning as for the wounds, is you're going to use that if it's an open burn. So if it's an open burn, this will work in the immediate need. But if it's a larger burn, I would really suggest going to the ER because it's going to need to be debrided and you're going to need other medication for that. But this will help you, if you're camping and you get, say an amber onto your body and it burns and it opens up the skin, this will work for that. But if it's anything larger than that and you got burned from something larger, you really need to go to the ER. So this will work in the pinch to get you going, but do seek higher care for that. All right, so those are for burns. Next on the list we have pain, which is a pain liniment, is what I created. And a liniment is kind of like a tincture. Tincture being usually alcohol, vinegar, or vegetable glycerin based. And it pulls out the medicine out of the herb and into the alcohol. And so this one, though, is in rubbing alcohol. So this is going to be an external application only, but it has a roll-on applicator. So it's going to catch the liquid and it will roll onto your skin. And what is great about it is because it's a rubbing alcohol, it will bring the herb into your skin. It'll absorb, but because it's alcohol, it evaporates very fast. So that way, it's already dry. It's been, 5 seconds? It's already dry. So it will leave the medicine and to absorb into your skin and help to the pain, but it will be dried quickly. So the peace liniment is not for something that is an open wound. So this would be something like a headache, maybe arthritis in your knees or your shoulders or something like that. something that has like an arthritic pain or a headache pain is what this would be good for. With that, another kind of pain reliever that a lot of people go for is ibuprofen or an anti-inflammatory. And next we have our 𝐒𝐭𝐨𝐫𝐞, which is my anti-inflammatory tincture. I've used this for many things, everything from strains to headaches to achy body. Whatever I feel like is inflamed at the moment works really, really well for them. So this is a tincture. It is an alcohol, so although you can take it directly into your mouth, you know, say if you're camping or you don't have any extra water to add to it, you can do that, but it may kind of burn being an alcohol. Otherwise, normally I would put it in a little bit of water, maybe in a shot glass or a small cup with just a little bit of water to help dilute it and not make it so strong. So this is the tincture, and you'll go ahead and put 1 to 2 droppers full into a cup of water, and then go ahead and drink it down. Like I said, you can go directly into your mouth, but I just don't recommend doing that on a daily basis because it's going to leave kind of almost like a burn to your mouth, and you don't want to do that. But 𝐒𝐭𝐨 is great for any inflammation on the body. You could also do it on the body. So, you know, say you have a sprain or even like a bee sting, something that's inflaming, you could use this as just the tincture and just drop it right onto your skin and rub it in. Kind of like the pain liniment. The only difference is this one's in vodka and this one's in rubbing alcohol. But it's very similar in how it acts. Alright, so next item is I found my kids in the car, you know, long road trips or whatever we would do, and they would get motion sickness, or they would be queasy, you know, or maybe we got something you know, from one of the fast food restaurants that didn't quite sit well. So a line I created as an anti-nausea tincture, and you can take this directly into your mouth. This one does have glycerin in it, so it's much sweeter and not so much alcohol. So this one can go directly into your mouth without diluting it if you don't wish to. If you want to, of course, you can always dilute it, no big deal. So yes, my kids take this, I take this, upset stomach sometimes, you know, nausea, or just feeling car sick. You know, I do a line because obviously you know, the room could be spinning and you want to bring life back into alignment. So that is the Align Anti-Nausea Tincture. Next we have an antihistamine. I find a lot, especially in Texas, between, let's see, the scorpions and the bees and the wasps, and of course then there's fire ants. You know, you need an antihistamine. Not to mention there's, you know, cedar and oak and the other pollens and stuff like that. But this one is called Halt. And I did this one specifically for more of like the bugs and stings and that type of antihistamine. Not that it can't be used for, you know, allergens in the air, but I have another one called Pollen Be Gone that's a little bit more geared towards other allergens such as pet dander or, you know, pollen in the air. But this one is more of just a straight-on antihistamine. We're just needing to greatly reduce antihistamine as fast as possible. My son at one point got into actually essential oils, and he didn't realize that they had to be diluted. And when he put some on his skin, he immediately got hives. You could tell that he was about ready to pass out. You could tell he was on his way out, and he was not doing well. And I, you know, along with calling 911, because I didn't know what was going on, you know, I didn't know what was going to happen, I also gave him some of this. And before the responders even got there, he was coming around and he was feeling better. So we didn't even need the ambulance ride or anything like that, but I did give him 3 times a normal dose of this. So a normal dose, say for an adult, would be 2 droppers full. Now, with an immediate greater danger, I upped it to like 3 times the dose. Because we're in grave danger, you know, things could be shutting down, he's passing out, he's not doing well. I did it 3 times that to be able to try to calm the histamine as fast as possible. And it worked. It worked great. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody in every situation because, of course, it depends on, you know, if you have 1 bee sting or 100 bee stings. And it depends upon if it's a child versus an adult. And so all of those, I mean, every body is different. So you need to understand that I would still call 911 because you don't know how bad it's going to get. And so if you don't have an EpiPen, this is the first go-to. Definitely do it. But I would still be calling 911 because obviously with throat closing and stuff like that, that's not something to mess around with. So this is my antihistamine. And even if you're on a camping trip, maybe you forgot the Benadryl, there you go. So that is the antihistamine. The next item I've used a lot of. It's called Stunt Salve. It is my sprain and strain, and I use this greatly for sprains, strains, and bruises. Of course, you know, kids, it's more or less like a boo-boo salve, right? But recently, a couple months ago, I sprained my ankle, and I did it really well too. And I used gobs of this. I think I went through a large jar over the course of a couple weeks, and it worked wonderfully. Within 3 days, I was off crutches, and I was walking around, and I was just shocked because the inflammation wasn't there. It just seemed like it should have been totally inflamed, and it wasn't. And I had some bruising, used that on the bruising too, the whole works. It worked wonderfully to cut down on the pain and the swelling, especially the swelling. And the swelling is really what causes the pain. So yeah, this is the Stunt Salve. Use it for your sprains, strains, and bruises. All right, so next I have my Banish tincture. So this is my antiviral. I use it a lot for not only just colds and flus, but maybe I gash my hand on something that's rusty or something like that. I would also use this. You know, not only would I be putting the wound powder in it for the gash and stopping the bleeding, but I would also be taking this to try to keep any bacteria or virus or anything that's, you know, antimicrobial. It'll pretty much kill it all. And so I use this a lot. I've used it for my kids because I've got one child that's really prone to ear infections. I'm like, take a couple of those for, you know, do it for a couple days. Try to make sure you don't get an ear infection. You know, if it wards me off and not having to go to the doctor, yay! Because who wants to sit in a doctor's office and who wants to pay for antibiotics? That's going to kill your gut flora and make you worse in the long end. However, you know, with an antiviral, if you're not feeling better in the next 24 hours, you should go back to the doctor because obviously there's something bigger or more concerning that's going on. But many times I really feel like this has saved us from having to go to the doctor. So Banish is an antibacterial and antimicrobial antiviral. All right, next I have, I talked a little bit about my oust spray before. The oust spray is good for wound cleaning, and that's really what I designed this one for. You can also use it as a hand sanitizer or to clean up whatever you'd like. It is a vodka base, so it's an alcohol base. But unlike a hand sanitizer, I didn't put anything that's moisturizing in it. So it's not going to be like a daily hand sanitizer. This will dry you out after a couple days. But this works great for the cleaning of wounds, and that's really what the purpose of this design was. I do have other items in my shop, such as my Be Tidy hand sanitizer that you can check out if you want specifically hand sanitizer. All right, next I have two items. Again, it's kind of an internal and external items. I have my Onyx salve and my Eclipse pills. So they kind of go hand in hand. They both have charcoal in them, which is what gives them the darkness and the black. They are drawn